Welcome to the Inform Outdoors. My name is Michael, and today we're going to be looking at the HaloView BT7 with TPMS. So in summary, what is this product? So it's a display that goes inside your tow vehicle or your truck or whatever, and you can have up to 4 cameras that you can monitor from inside. The benefit of this particular upgraded version is you've now got the TPMS, which is tire pressure monitoring system. So basically, if you're unfamiliar with this product, I'd urge you to go back and look at my other review I did of an earlier model, and it'll give you a full breakdown of how the products work and also a full installation video, including all the cameras, how to set it up and operate the unit. So the previous model that I was using was the BT7 non-touchscreen without the TPMS, and I ran about 10,000 kilometers with it last year, so about 6,000 miles. So I feel I've got a pretty good understanding of how these products work and what to expect from them. So let's talk about why you would want this. So if you have done any towing before, you know that it can be a bit of a challenge if you're parking an RV or a travel trailer or whatever, either single-handedly or in tight places. Adding cameras for views around the RV gives you a lot of peace of mind, and you can actually see, you don't have to keep getting out of the truck, checking where things are. This thing will save you a lot of trial and effort. The other key benefit is the cameras that go into the back of the RV, for instance, do have microphones, so you can actually listen to someone at the back who's giving you directions. It saves a lot of arguments between me and my wife. This way she can just scream at me and I can't scream back. The major difference between the older model and this model is the TPMS, and that is invaluable. I personally experienced a blowout on my travel trailer on a double axle, and it wasn't great. Thankfully it didn't cause too much damage, but I've seen them where they wreck the whole side of the trailer, where the rubber just shears right off and just beats the trailer to death. So keeping track of your tire pressures and temperatures is pretty much a safety issue. In my personal opinion, I feel that TPMS monitors should be standard across anything that's towable, and I think it would save a lot of lives. So let's get into it. Let's do a quick unboxing and I'll show you what comes inside the packaging. So first of all, you're going to get 2 manuals. This is for the upgraded touchscreen display, and on here we've got the 2 side cameras that are optional and the rear camera that will come inside this box. So right off the bat, here's the upgraded display. Looks like this. It's got TPMS, so you know the difference between the older model. It's got a space for a couple of aerials, and there's a mounting point on the bottom. On this side, there's also an SD card, and there's also a pairing button. And on this side, you have the power input, which is a USB Type-C, and it has a power button. Also has another port for DC power as well. Apart from that, that is the display. Next in the box is the standard camera. So on most RVs, you'll see they're fitted with a Furrion type of electronics. They make fridges all the way through to power adapters and cameras, obviously. The Halo camera system does replace the Furrion if you do have a Furrion backplate or an existing camera. These cameras come with everything you need to actually tie into existing cabling, so it's actually a really easy fix. Again, check out my previous video where you can see me do all that work on camera, and you can take a look and see what's involved. So next we have the mounting bases for the display. So this would be a suction cup type mount right there, and then the camera slot in the back slots right into here, and we are good to go. Tighten that clip up, and that's your display mounted in your truck or whatever. The second mount that comes in the box is another type of mount. This is a bit more slightly different. This one has an adhesive base, so you can just peel that off and stick it permanently on the dash. While this one we've mounted perhaps on a window, and you can hang it down. So depends on how you have it set up currently in your truck, where you have space for the display. Next in the box we have this thing, which is a signal booster. This is for the TPMS sensors, and you're given 2 of these. So they do have a length of wire, a quick connect, and a couple of crocodile clips. so you can clip them onto a power source. So we'll get 2 of those. Okay, here we have the TPMS sensors. I have 4 because I have a double axle RV, and small little tire pressure sensors. If you unscrew the cap, you can see a place to slide in a battery, a coin type battery, and screw back on. Don't weigh very much. I don't think it would cause any issues, but we have 4 of those. Next in the box we have some aerials. So we should have 2 short and 1 long. 2 short ones will go onto the display like so, and the long one will actually go onto the camera and head up like so. So next in the box we have power cables. So we do have a burr-ended power cable, so you can actually wire this in as you need. That's right there, so if you need to splice that in somewhere, that's great. We also have the cheater cable, so we can actually plug in power to more than 1 device at the same time. It's 2 different sizes. This is typically for pairing the cameras. Again, if you look at my full-length video of the installation, you'll see exactly how to use that. For the in-cab power, if you just want to use your 12-volt outlet, which I do, then this is really simple. Just plug it into a cigarette outlet, and you can plug that into the side of the display, and that's all your power. So we have some batteries as well for the TPMS sensors, and it looks like we got 6 of them. So we've got a couple of spares as well, and these are the CR1632s, so I would keep a couple of those on hand. Next is another power cable. This is to interface between the Furion system and the HaloView. So they have this 3.5mm connector typically, and it converts it to a barrel style power connector. Next we have another power cable, an alternative power source. So this is a USB type A to a USB type C, and again we can power that on the back of the side of the display, and that'll plug into your vehicle if you have the USB type power outlets. These pieces are for mounting the camera on the back of your RV. So there's a gasket and a mounting plate. Again, watch my video and you'll see exactly how those pieces are used. So in the box as well, they do provide you with some adhesion promoter for adhering some of the products. For instance, the TPMS boosters do have sticky on the back, so you can actually mount them. Personally, I wouldn't trust that. I would actually screw through these or use zip ties or whatever. I'm not a big fan of sticky stuff, especially where I live in Canada. When the cold hits, sometimes you'll find the sticky stuff just turns very brittle and fall off. But it's nice to include this in the packaging, so you don't really have to go out fishing for things. So they also provide you with hardware, so we've got all the mounting screws. These are stainless steel, and we've got some crimp connectors as well, so you can tie things in securely. And finally, we have some zip ties, and we have some O-rings for the TPMS sensors, and this little funky wrench. So this wrench is used along with these lock nuts to secure your TPMS sensors. When you screw it onto the valve stem, you put the nut on first, and then you can back the nut up and actually lock this on. It's going to make it a lot harder for someone to try and get this off when these two are locked together. And it has a special wrench so you can tighten them up securely. So the lock nut's going to do 2 things. It's going to make sure these things don't come off inadvertently, and it's also going to give someone in the parking lot a hard time if they come along and try and steal them. They're going to be difficult to get off without tools if you use the lock nut and the wrench. So I've just set up the unit side by side with the older model so you can take a look at and compare. So I've just got this powered up with the USB Type-C. I'm using a small power bank here just to power all the devices. I do have the camera paired. They're automatically paired when they come out of the box, but I'll show you how to change channels if you want a camera on a specific channel, etc. We'll cover that. So this is the older model. I don't have power to this at the moment, but you can see kind of the differences. The previous one had a shroud around the display. This one doesn't. The aerials are slightly shorter, and obviously you have the power buttons and control buttons down the side, where this model is touchscreen, another great upgrade. So looking at the screen, it's actually very bright, it's very easy to see, and the capacitive touch is actually very responsive. Across the bottom you have a channel for each of the 4 cameras that it supports, and Q mode, which is a combination of all the different displays. So this one is actually set up for all 4 displays to be displayed. If you go into the menus, you can see here we have this Q mode. From here we can actually design the layout of how you want the splits. So we can have 1 and 2 camera, for instance, and then it goes through a combination of all the different ones. In the menus as well, we've got things for pairing. We can adjust the volume. Like say the cameras actually have a microphone in them, so you can hear in the cab if someone's talking, or you're going to hit something, you can hear something scraping. It's very useful to have. We also have a record button. So it does have options to have an SD card in, which you can use in case, like an accident camera, or if you use it as a monitor, if you keep them powered up while you're in your RV. If you leave it powered up when you leave your RV, you can leave an SD card in here and just have it continually recording as a security system. So also on this setup, you can set up your parking lines. So if you want to move these around different directions, for instance, to line it up with your particular backup, you can do it all in here as well. So that covers some of the basic features. Let's go ahead now and touch the screen again, and you'll see another set of quick options come up. So in here we can do things like toggle the lighting, whether the cameras are lit. They do have lights around them as well, and you can turn it on and off from here. You've also got things like to mute the audio, and you can turn off the backup lines, etc. But what we're going to look at is the TPMS options. So this is the TPMS display, and this is the part that excites me most about this product. I'm going to be very happy to have good monitoring of my tires. I was using this cheap Chinese model that I bought from Temu or AliExpress. I think it was like $25, and it seems to work if you have the TPMS sensor literally next to it. It's a terrible thing. Don't buy these. It wasn't worth the money, even at $25. So this system is going to be quite a bit of an upgrade. So what I'm going to do is go through the activation of one of the TPMS sensors. So I'm going to grab one of the TPMS sensors out of the packaging. So here's my TPMS sensor, here's my battery. Just go ahead and throw this guy in. So you'll notice on top of each TPMS sensor, there's actually a number. It starts with DD, and then it has 4 digits. This one is 07F0. So you can use that to ID each one and pair it with the system, or you can use the auto pair connection. So I'm going to go ahead and pair it to the controller. So I'm going to do a manual ID. So I'm going to type that in. So I've got DD, DD0707 F0. So DD07F0. So that should be in there. So I'm just going to hit that, hear the beep, and you can see now that the TPMS sensor is actually paired to axle number 1. So hopefully on the screen you can see I've actually activated this. I blew into it and I've got 1 psi of pressure. So that's going to trigger quite a few things on the display. So on the screen, let's take a bit of a detailed look. So we can see for each of the particular sensors that we have an upper limit, what it should actually be set to is maximum. So we have a high limit, we have a axle low pressure limit, and we can set the temperature to either centigrade or Fahrenheit. So we set that to centigrade, and you can see there's a couple of warnings that have come up. So it's warning me that this tire sensor here is low. Obviously it's not connected to a tire, and that the leak was fast as well. So it's losing pressure very quickly. So we can also set the high temperature value as well. Currently it's set to 70 degrees, and I've got these 2 warnings obviously, and it's going to beep at me. and I can set the volume as well. So it's going to alert me that I've got problems. So let's go back to our camera. So if you're driving along, for instance, you're going to see this warning, you're going to hear the beeps, and it's going to tell you which tire is causing the problem. It's going to allow you to pull over safely and deal with that issue before it becomes a real big problem. So the volume on the warning has 3 different levels. So it's off, and then there's 3 different audible levels. So if you're traveling in a noisy vehicle, you have lots of kids, etc., then you can bump that up to the top. But I personally would keep it high anyway, because that's a warning you don't want to miss. So for my setup, I have 4 TPMS sensors. So I have for 2 axles, but the system can support up to 32 tires. So if you don't have TPMS on your tow vehicle, you could also add it to that as well. Even if it's a dually, you got 6 tires, not a problem. You can pull another 3-axle trailer and you can still have 6 on your truck and lots to spare. Pairing on these cameras is very simple. If we want to change the channel for this particular one, we can select channel 3, and then go into here, go into pairing. Now it's ready to pair on channel 3. On the camera itself, on the base, you'll see a button. Just going to press that. There we go. It's going to flash. There we go. Now we have it on the 3rd channel. Very simple to operate and to install. So just to give you an idea of latency, I'm just going to wave my hand here. And you can see on the camera where my hand is. And that's pretty good. There's maybe some slight lag. I'd say the lag is less than 200 milliseconds. I'm just guessing actually, but that seems about right. It's less than 500 milliseconds, but it's not quicker than 200, I wouldn't say. But I'm just guessing. The latency is good. I don't have a problem with that at all. So just a couple of tips on how I have mine actually set up. In my Toyota Tundra, I have a mounted plate on the dash, which uses ram mounts. So I actually have this, which will screw into the bottom of the mount. And mine is just going to go in a ram mount holder. There is an accessory from HaloVision that has ram mount compatible fittings already, which I'll link to. And if I would have bought that first off, it would have made my life a bit easier. But I managed to cobble together my own ram mount system before I discovered that particular accessory. So if you are a ram mount person, then there is something to mount it easily inside your truck. So at the time of filming, we are in January in Alberta, Canada, and the weather is not conducive to RV camera tests. So unfortunately, I can't actually take it out on a drive and show you. Again, take a look at my previous video and you'll see all that information right there. I think the screen quality does look better on this. It looks brighter, but again, I'll put up the stats so you can see for yourself. But come spring, I'll be heading out in the trailer and I'll be sure to do a follow-up video so you can actually see it in use on the trailer and it'll give you a full experience. But at the moment, because of the snow and ice, nobody's really pulling trailers around right now. So overall, what do I think of the system? I think this is a very big upgrade from the previous model. I was actually very happy with the previous model. It gave me something that I really wanted. I've got 3 cameras, felt a lot safer than just using towing mirrors, for instance. And to have that audio feedback from, scraping something or my wife giving me directions, that really gave me a lot of comfort pulling a trailer. I think this particular model is another step up in safety and performance. The added TPMS, I think, is going to solve a problem for lots of people. I really think that has to be mandatory on all trailers moving forward, but unfortunately that's going to take some sort of regulation. So personally, I've had a couple of tires go on trailers over the years of towing, and TPMS would have made those failures a lot easier to deal with rather than someone else letting me know that something's happened or just feeling the trailer go bad. At that point, things are a little bit sketchy already. So TPMS really does have huge safety impact for people that tow with trailers. If you've got the kids in the car or the truck, I just wouldn't think about the money. Just go out and get a TPS monitoring system for your trailer. You're going to be so much more safer. Overall, what do I think of the BT7 with the TPS monitor? I think this is a great upgrade if you have the older model. If you're looking for your first model, then this would be certainly the one to buy. It is a modular system, so if you just buy the base model with the camera itself, the TPMS sensors, and one backup camera, you can add to it later on. You can buy those side cameras or an additional camera you can mount over the door or someplace else. So this will support up to 4 cameras and 32 TPMS monitors. I like that they've upgraded the power option, so you can now power it as USB Type-C. I think that's a great improvement. And I also like the fit and finish of the monitor itself. It looks a lot more modern. The smaller aerials also look pretty good, but the screen and the bezel as well looks very nice. It looks like a more modern product and a nicely welcome upgrade. The other major improvement obviously is the touchscreen, and it's done very well. So some other cheaper displays, the capacitive touch isn't very responsive, but as you can see, this actually jumps through the menus very, very quickly indeed. And that's exactly what you want to have happen. Let's touch briefly on the competition. If you're looking at a Furrion-based camera system, you're going to pay a lot more than the HaloView. This is, I wouldn't say budget, but it's somewhere in the middle of the camera pricing range. And it does everything else that the Furrion will. So it's very compatible with the Furrion system. You have that plate on the back of your trailer where they haven't fitted a camera, that blanking plate. Then you can actually put the camera, the HaloView camera, right into that slot, and you'll have no problems putting the system in very, very quickly. They're all pre-wired, so you can just hook them up with power. You don't have to go fishing around for power sources, etc. Very simple. Overall, I'm delighted with the product, and I thank HaloView for sending this out for review. And take a look in the description for my discount code and my link to the website. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the HaloView BT7 with TPMS sensors. I'd be happy to answer them the best I can in the comment section. And until next time, take care.
And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.